In this lecture, we're going to be laying out the field and starting to put some assets in. So to start our field, we're going to go to File and New Level. Now choose Default. This is the default world, and we're going to start doing some things to it. Now the first thing I want to do is just find a nice little ground material for us to start working off of. So go into Bridge and just look for ground. So I'll go into ground here, and then just find something that you think would look good in a grassy meadow. And once you find that, go ahead and download it. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the Unreal 4 preferences. To apply a material to a surface, all you need to do is drag that material onto the surface. And there it is. Now I've got a basic floor for the environment, and now we can start adding in some plants. My foliage assets are in the Megascans Meadow Pack, so I'm going to go into that folder in the content browser, and then just find something that you think would be interesting, probably grass. And they have 3 different variations here. I'm going to choose variation 2. And make sure that when you do this, you're choosing the level of detail 0. If you're having problems with looking at the ground and everything turning extremely bright, all you have to do is click on Show, go to Post-Processing, and uncheck Eye Adaptation. Unreal actually has a much more efficient tool for placing things like grass, but we'll get into that in a later lecture. What I want to talk about right now is laying out this scene. So I went and got my bucket again. I think I want to make a scene centered around this bucket. And so I want to turn this thing on its side. There's several different modes of transformation in here. Right now you can see there's arrows, and if I click and drag on these arrows, the object will move. And a fun fact, if I click in the corner right here, I can move it on 2 axes at once. The same goes for all of these other routes. And if you've noticed, your assets are moving on an incremental basis. If you want to change this so that your movement is smoother, you can click this number right here and choose it. Select 1 if you want it to be very, very smooth. Or you can choose something like 500 and it will snap like that, which is very useful if you're making a modular environment. But right now we're creating more of a organic environment. So I'm going to either set it to 1 or click this button right here, which will disable the grid. And now I can move it around freely. Now I want to tilt it on its side, and so I'm going to either click this button to rotate, or I can press E. E is for rotate, and W is for movement. There's also scaling, which you can choose this button right here, or press R on the keyboard. But I want rotating, so I'm going to press E. And then I can click on these to start rotating the object, or if I want, I can click just right in the middle and just freeform rotate it all over the place. Now, I kind of want this lip right here to be on the ground, so I'm going to rotate it around so that that will be possible. Now, it's all the way in the ground, so I'm going to press W to go to transform and bring it back up. Now, it's still not quite there. That's closer. That's much closer, actually. You'll find out that designing environments ends up being a lot of fiddling, but it's worth it. If you want to choose the rotation snapping, because as you can see, the rotation is incremental as well, you can click this button up here and choose how many degrees you want it to snap to. Or if you don't want them to snap at all, you can just click this button here. And now it is freeform rotation, absolutely no snapping. So now that we have a bucket and we have some grass, we can actually start laying out our scene. Now the way I want to set up this scene is we have this bucket, and I'm not sure which camera angle I'll go for yet, but I also want there to be a tree, and I also want there to be grass leading up to it and all around it. To lay all this out, I'm going to use some placeholder objects. One of the most important windows is this modes window. As you can see, there's lots of different tabs up here. The first one is the place mode. You can use this window to drag in objects and place them in your scene very easily. So for instance, a tree, I will use a cylinder for, because we're going to figure out trees later. And I'll just put a cylinder there. There will probably be a tree right there. And maybe we'll put some sort of rock right here. And I'm pressing R and scaling on this axis right here. Excellent. And for grass, Well, I mean, we can all know that there's going to be grass right there. Maybe there will be another tree right in the background here. I like that. And then we'll just figure out what camera angle we want, or if we want it off to this side. But this is going to be the basic layout of the scene. And so just come up with some basic layout that you want. This level is mostly for practice so that you can get to know Unreal and Megascans. And once you're ready, you can move on to the next lecture.